It was early October when the leaves had just begun their slow dance into fiery reds and burnt oranges across the quiet neighborhood of Hillside Grove. I had always loved this time of year, sweater weather, warm cider, and the way the air felt like a soft whisper against the skin. Life had always followed a routine: my job at the local library, my evening walks, and the occasional get-together with old friends. But everything changed the day Josh came back into my life. Josh wasn't just anyone. He was my best friend's son, but he was also more than that, someone I'd watched grow up, someone I cared about more deeply than I could ever quite admit to anyone else, including myself. After his mother passed away suddenly last spring, he drifted from place to place, leaving his job and dropping out of college temporarily. When I got the call from him asking if he could stay with me for a while, I didn't hesitate. Of course, I said yes. The first few weeks were quiet. Josh kept mostly to himself, taking long walks, reading in silence, and spending hours in the guest room that I'd fixed up for him. He was taller than I remembered, his once boyish face now shaded by a beard and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. I tried to give him space, but I also knew when someone was silently asking for help without the words to say it. One evening, I found him sitting on the back porch, hoodie pulled over his head despite the crisp air. His fingers curled around a warm mug of tea I had brought him. His eyes didn't meet mine, but I sat beside him anyway, close enough that I could feel the weight of his sadness without him having to explain it. "You don't have to say anything," I whispered. "But I'm here." His eyes stayed locked on the horizon. "It just hurts sometimes. When people tell you it gets easier, they're lying." I nodded. "They don't mean to lie. They just don't know what to say." His silence spoke louder than words. In that quiet moment, something in me shifted. I didn't see him as a boy who needed help. I saw a man holding back an ocean of grief, desperate to not drown. My hand reached out, resting lightly over his. He looked at me then, not with confusion or discomfort, but with a silent plea. We sat like that for a long time, not moving. The wind rustled the trees above us and the night closed in around the house, wrapping us in its stillness. The days passed, and our routine settled into something almost like comfort. He cooked sometimes, surprising me with his knack for homemade soups and grilled cheese sandwiches. I caught him smiling more, laughing, even. Sometimes I'd come home from work and find him napping on the couch, a book resting on his chest, peaceful for the first time in months. I never disturbed him. I just watched for a few quiet moments and felt grateful he was beginning to heal. But healing is never a straight line. One particularly rainy Saturday evening, the power went out. The house fell into darkness, lit only by the glow of a few candles I kept on hand. We curled up in the living room, wrapped in blankets, sharing stories. The flickering light danced across his face, casting shadows that made his eyes look deeper than usual. He told me about his mom, stories I'd never heard before. How she used to hum when she cooked. How she never forgot his birthday, even once. How she was the only person he felt really saw him. "She saw me," he said, his voice cracking. "And now she's gone. And I don't know who I am without her." Without thinking, I reached for him. I pulled him into a hug that started off tentative but quickly became something more desperate. His shoulders shook against me, and I held him tighter. He cried into my neck, and I rubbed his back, whispering, "You're not alone." Then it happened, the moment everything blurred. His hand reached up, resting gently on my cheek, and our eyes locked. The kind of look that holds too much, says too much. For a breathless second, I didn't pull away. I didn't even breathe. And in that heartbeat of silence, everything I'd buried rose to the surface. But I did pull away. Slowly. Carefully. And I said, "Josh, you're in pain. And I'm here. But this isn't the way." He looked ashamed instantly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "I know," I said, brushing a tear off his cheek. "Neither did I." The next morning, we didn't talk about it. But something had changed. There was a quiet understanding between us that we'd come too close to a line neither of us wanted to cross. It wasn't about attraction, it was about grief, about connection, about the longing for comfort when the world feels like it's crumbling. As time went on, we found a new balance. Josh started therapy. He got a job at a nearby bookstore and began reconnecting with old friends. I saw the light slowly return to his face. He even started planning to go back to college the next semester. Before he moved out in December, we shared one last evening on the back porch. "I want to thank you," he said, his voice stronger than it had been in months. "For everything. You didn't have to open your home. Or your heart." "I didn't think twice," I replied. He smiled. "I know. And that's what made the difference." We hugged one more time, this one light, warm, and safe. There was no confusion now, just gratitude, just closure. After he left, the house felt quiet again. But it wasn't empty. It was full of memories, of laughter, of healing, and of a bond that had been tested and reshaped into something better: respect, care, and distance. I learned that grief makes people reach for things they don't understand. It makes you crave connection so badly that you'll lean into anything that makes the pain go away. But healing comes from honesty, from boundaries, from love without expectation. And sometimes, going too far isn't measured by what you do, but by what you're strong enough to stop.